Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/INTB and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's easy. Go to audibletrial.com/INTB.
Honestly, they're not that bad.
Welcome to an episode of It's Not That Bad podcast. I am Fern here with Dom.
Yo. So, like I told you, just the other day, me and our friend Brian went out to do a time lapse. But, I mean, he was telling me some things that were, like, he's been working on here and there, especially since the, pandemic. We're going through a pandemic. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
But he was telling me that he worked on a project. And if you're here in Arizona and you know anything about the Superstition Mountains, which is probably like, you know where it is and you know what it kind of looks like. You know that
if you're into anything spooky,
yeah,
you probably seen it on like a travel channel, haunted destinations or whatever.
Yeah, so I guess he worked on this short film that is supposed to be set at the Lost Dutchman mine and this and that, but they filmed in northern Arizona. They filmed also in northern Phoenix area, and like the exterior shots too are like, Brian was like, is this for like people in Arizona or people out of state? He's like, well, the guy's like, well, I mean, I do come from out of state, so like, I mean, I'm gonna show it like to people outside of the state. It's like, and Brian's like, because if you show it to anyone in Arizona, you're saying that the Lost Dutchman is like in this forest area, they're gonna call bullshit like right away. Yeah, and then he's the one that I told you bought the time, because we went out and did a time lapse there, and I think he bought the time lapse and he wants more. But the thing is, it's gonna look weird because you're gonna show this time lapse of this area, and then you're gonna switch to like being a heavily wooded area. It's just, I think it's gonna look weird. I don't know, like you should have done at least some kind of research.
Yeah, I know, and that's funny too, because sometimes, you know, when we grow up with like certain movies or whatever, we have this picture of like, oh, how this really is, and you find out in real life, it's like, that's what?
Yeah.
So they've been lying to me my whole life?
Yeah, like I thought New York would be like cool and like full of homeless people and druggies and, you know, like, oh, there's a bunch of businessmen walking around. And I go there and it's like, I'd have to take the subway everywhere? God damn it, this sucks.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it kind of makes sense, right? People are like, oh, this is a thing in Arizona, so this is that. But it's weird because when people think of Arizona, they don't think of northern Arizona. No. They only think of desert.
Every depiction of Arizona is always like cactus and desert, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
why wouldn't you just do that instead?
I don't know. Like, even just cursory like research would have told you like it's more arid than it is.
You could have literally filmed in like Sedona and it would have been better.
Yeah. Although I think we still would have recognized that it's Sedona.
Yeah. Well, Doug, it's like red rock everywhere. But at least you're like trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's where they take photos of Mars. That's what my mom thinks. But yeah, he was telling me that they got some native guy to be the. At least they got like a native actor to play the ghost, but it's still kind of like, what? Allegedly. We watched the video and it's like, where's the native actor? And it's like, that guy right there. It's like, that's a white guy. But yeah, I'm 164th Cherokee on my mom's side. Well, she's 160, so which makes me. So I'm Native American, guys. Okay. Yeah, so guys out there, if you're working on a film, just make sure when you're coming to Arizona, you get a real native, and you do your research.
Yeah. Make sure they're not Italian.
Yeah, because it's easy to confuse them with Italians.
And I know sometimes you just see brown and you're like, they're all the same.
Yeah, you get like me. It's like, well, he's a brown guy. You can play native. It's like, I'm not. I'm Mexican.
Close
it's the same thing, right? You're native in Mexico, but it's completely different. See, to me,
Close enough, Dom.
I just hear brown people. That's all I hear when you talk.
Well, it's all white people really hear. It's like, not white, not white. Oh, definitely white.
This is the fucking news.
John Krasinski has a YouTube show called Some Good News to lighten up the COVID pandemic news, sharing uplifting and good news stories. But then he turned around and showed his true white face. Krasinski recently licensed out the show after a massive bidding war to Viacom CBS. This is not them producing like a show with him as the host, but rather a segment that they like folded into like their news broadcast. Some have been calling him a sellout. Others say it's just capitalism. And it's kind of like...
It's both.
Yeah, exactly. I can see it from both sides because I'm like, that's exactly what I would love to do, right? Create something and then some corporation comes along and is like, hey, I'm going to give you $1 million. Like, can I have your idea? I'd be like, yeah, why not? But then again, it's like, yeah, but see, like to me, the whole point of it was to be like, oh, like it was this actor who was doing something good. Like he didn't have to do this. He was just taking time because like it was during this thing and like he was incorporating all this goodness. And now it's like becoming commercialized.
Well, I think it's different because of context.
Yeah.
It'd be different if he was actually producing this show, making it like a real thing, right? Where he's like, hey, look at what I built in the back of my house. Like, you know, I have like a camera operator coming in and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Like, it'd be different if it was still very much DIY, but meant to be an actual product.
Like they gave him an actual show.
Yeah. Instead, this was like a fun, quirky kind of like, hey guys, I'm not doing anything. You aren't doing anything. Like, I'm having fun. And then people are like, yeah, how can we make money off of that? You know, people being genuine.
Yeah.
And that's where the sellout part comes in. It's like, yeah, I get it, but it's weird when something that you're doing for free, you know, in this like context of what's going on, there's a genuine feeling that comes with like watching this and producing this and everything, right? It's free for everyone to watch. But then you sell it, it becomes corporate, and then it's like, oh, now it's not fun anymore.
I think the problem is that it's not that they bought an item, it's that they bought the idea instead. And so, because like you said, if they were like, hey, John, we love what you do, here's money, up the production value, put it on CBS's YouTube, like see like that. Well, it's like, yes, you like, it's understandable because it's like, okay, they're gonna make a profit from the ad revenue, but at least he gets to keep like the show, and he can keep like having on like the people he wants. But yeah, like he gets a better camera. Maybe he can have like a nicer sign. But like it's just to up the production value.
Yeah.
But this was like they're like, hey, I want to buy your concept of a show, and we want to put it on CBS News.
And I think that's where it comes from, and you see it a lot in everything. Like, you know, the idea of like a band selling out. You know how many times I've heard of like X band selling out or whatever, blah blah blah. And yeah, from afar it looks like it, right? When you hear a Thrice signed to something like Def Jam or Island, I think technically it is, and coming from like a small indie label that had X amount of money go towards like charity, then to go to that, it's like that's selling out. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, wait, but they're still giving money to charity, and they still get to get their control. They're still doing so it's just... And they didn't change... It's elevating.
Ryan, they don't change their sound.
I mean, they did, but that was what they wanted to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they're not changing their sound because people are telling them to change their sound.
There's a difference between that happening and then a no warning signing a major record label deal and be like, yeah, we'll fucking play what you guys want. And they said it a million times. They're like, they threw us money. Why wouldn't we do what they said? And it's like,
that's selling.
Yeah, see that, but That's what I'm saying. Like, that's selling out. But from afar, it's always going to look different.
Yeah.
And I think that you could say that whatever it is, his intentions, it could be something different. I don't know. But from afar, from what we're looking at, as we're looking at the whole picture, it's you created this thing out of like the kindness of your heart. You made it something real and original.
Yeah.
Then you literally sold it out.
Yeah,
So a corporation could go and be like, see, we know what you guys like.
Yeah, we have some good news now on news. It's like, but you guys were the news. Shouldn't you have done good news to begin with? Yeah, but see, how are we going to get people to keep watching the news if we give them good news? We got to give them bad news because that keeps them coming back. Uh-oh, did we just give away the game? So, I guess people need years to see the good in movies. But does it come with frustration when we were saying these movies were good all along? The hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen was started by fans over the Memorial Day weekend, saying they'd want a movie or maybe a Disney Plus show to continue the series. Unfortunately, neither may happen at the moment, given that Solo's co-writer John Kasdan confirmed that a sequel is not in development for Disney Plus, either like as a movie or a show or anything. But it's kind of interesting.
Oh, wait. You're saying that the movie that fans rallied against so they could try to overthrow the head of the Star Wars thing and how they were going to boycott Star Wars. That movie that started really that whole thing.
I don't remember.
They don't want to make a sequel to that.
I don't remember any of that happening. That's fake news. That never happened. I've always loved Solo. Okay, don't look at my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Don't look at any of my old blog posts. Don't look at anything I ever said about Solo in the past. Don't ever look at my Twitter. Don't you ever look at my fucking Twitter. I'm like Donald Trump. You don't ever take me off of Twitter. Don't censor me. Yeah, it's so like, it makes me so mad. Like when I saw that, that's what we were saying when Solo came out, because Solo's not a great movie.
It's not a Rogue One.
Yeah, but it is still a good movie.
But it's still Star Wars.
Like, but it's just frustrating because it's like they had plans for they wanted to make more from this. Disney was like, you guys want more Star Wars? That's what we're gonna do. We're giving you Solo. Look, we're introducing like the main villain behind everything is Darth Maul. Like you guys love Darth. Oh wait, you guys now you hate it? Now you hate Star Wars? Oh okay, well I guess we'll just cancel everything. That's what they did. They canceled the Obi-Wan thing. They were gonna do Boba Fett. It's just like, it's so stupid. It's just dumb because it's like they were gonna give you these things. And you shot your... It's the same thing with Prometheus, remember? Where Ridley Scott, he's like, hey, I want to explore this universe more. Oh, yeah. So which means we're going to get more Alien, right? And it's like, no. I want to explore the universe that Alien set in.
It's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that.
No, I know. But so when is the Aliens going to come in?
No, that's a tiny step.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about a giant leap.
So there's more aliens, you're telling me.
God damn it.
And so that's what happened. So he was like, okay, you guys want more aliens? So when he did the sequel to Prometheus, he gave you more aliens, and you guys, well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a sequel to Prometheus.
Yeah, why'd you just give us a sequel to Prometheus?
And it's like,
because you didn't want it.
Yeah. This whole thing I just want to strangle these people so bad. Like, ugh!
That would probably be the most for your argument of being frustrated, because he did have a whole thing he wanted to do. But when the backlash came of people didn't really like Prometheus, they definitely wanted more Alien. He said, okay, I'll finish the Prometheus thing and then I'll give you an Alien thing. And that's exactly what that movie was. It was It was an end to one book and beginning to another. And yeah, sure, I still like it, whatever.
It's still
but
pretty good.
It's nothing of what we thought we were going to get. We could have got something amazing. And technically we kind of still did, because from when we were talking about what would be cool, they kind of still did some of that stuff. We just saw oh, here's a clip and here's a clip.
Yeah. It was like,
here's the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it was like a clip show of what we thought.
Yeah.
And they just put it in the movie.
Now here's the other hour 45 minutes. And that did suck because we literally had to throw a whole movie or franchise away because people just didn't get it.
No.
because people, like we said now, more so than ever, like they're way more impatient more than ever
I think,
because of social media.
Yep.
Because it's easier to go online right now and say, oh my God, did you guys see the new Scooby-Doo movie? Well, let's get into like how horrible it was. And then 15 years down the line, you're like, you know, they could have had something really good with that Scooby-Doo movie.
God, it just like, I honestly wish Disney would do like a sequel series, because that would be kind of cool. I'd love to see like something like, at least, or like tying in with like the Darth Maul stuff, like with Amelia Clark, bringing her back for that. Like that'd be a pretty good show to have, and you could tie it into like down the line, you could tie it into the Cassian Andor series that they're gonna have, which is set before Rogue One, so that you can tie those movie universes, or like universes, they're the same universe. You can tie those movies together like more. Like you can complete the timeline better between those movies.
Yeah.
So the Golden Globes has decided to revise their rules a bit. Pedro Pascal plays the Mandalorian. Well, he mainly plays the voice, but the Hollywood Foreign Press announced this week that they're changing the rule, because even though he's not seen for most of the show, like his voice performance, they're allowing him to compete in the acting category. So which means that, I mean, going forward, it's going to change like the way that we nominate people at the Golden Globes. I mean, that changed, especially like someone like Andy Serkis. Well, I mean, before, not now, but like before, I'm pretty sure I mean, yeah, he did do like the physical, but then that's like, oh, they did like the CGI over him, so I think they probably wouldn't let him be able to compete for that. And I think like they did that with Avatar too, where they were like, oh wow, these people, they're like, yes, they're there, but they're CGI'd in too, so like that doesn't count as like acting. But then again, like now it's like, okay, like someone like a Josh Brolin being like Thanos, it's like he can compete, because it's like, yes, he's actually there, but like it's something CGI'd in. Or like this, where it's like, yeah, the character, like you don't see his face, but his voice gives such deep character to the character that like it deserves an award.
Yeah. And I think especially now more than ever, where you're right, where CG and everything is becoming so realistic, that it'd be easier for some studios to say like, hey, let's not put this in there or try to do this. Let's just have this, this thing made and then X person voice over, Like we've said before, with sci-fi pushing like envelopes too. Imagine if like Scarlett Johansson got nominated for like Her.
Yeah, see something like that, where it's like, yeah, you don't see like her body at all because she's an AI. But the fact that like it's so compelling to see this like love story, and it works so well, it's like, yeah, somebody like that deserves like to be nominated for that. And I think it's kind of this, it's similar to like when CGI first started, right? When awards didn't want to nominate them for special effects because they're like, well, this is going to ruin everything in the future because they're just going to sweep through all the awards. And it's like, yeah, because they're special effects. I don't know what, like, it's still acting. Like, voice acting is still like a thing. Yeah. Do you know how hard it is to make your like when you hear like an audiobook, like if someone's there and they're just reading the book, it's not as enjoyable as like someone actually getting into it and like giving life to those characters. So I mean, I think it's good. Hopefully, other awards will see like changes like this, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be so stingy about our awards.
Well, we said 2020 was changing things.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is another one of those things that, yeah, going forward, like I said, with a lot of things we have available now, or at least what we see normally now, it becomes something where people are going to not even think twice about it.
Yes, just like how it's like it's opening up the idea of like, hey, streaming stuff. We need to like, that's where people are releasing things now. And hopefully the Academy will see that and they'll be like, not change their rules back. Maybe they'll be like, hey guys, you know what? Maybe we should allow them to compete.
And then they're like, psych. Same old, same old.
You are unbelievable.
Looks like love has finally found me.
I love you.
Police officer! He's a criminal! Move, move, move!
I wanna know what love is.
Justice! Oh my God!
I want you to show me. I wanna feel.
I don't think he's a cop.
He's fucking dead!
We know he's dead, but we didn't kill him.
He like to report a murder or whatever.
We didn't murder anybody.
1, 2, 3, go!
Okay, the guy's name is Jabron.
Run, Leilani!
And the girl's name's actually Leilani. She's running too now. Kind of slow, like she's wearing heels that look actually amazing.
We have to go to the police because we have nothing to hide.
Why did you run from the scene of the crime?
Good question, officer.
That's me covering up my body cam so I can beat your ass.
We're so fucked!
We just need to find the guy the police are looking for.
So you suggesting we actually go out there and solve a murder?
It's locked. Did you think it was one of those men-only doors? All we need is a name, and then we're in the clear.
Hey, man, it's been a minute. Who the fuck are you?
Who do you work for? You little bitch. You little beanbag ballless bitch.
Yeah. You think about your grandma and that furry beanbag bitch?
What? These people are super dangerous and they're really powerful.
This is some Handmaid's Tale bullshit.
We have impostors.
Oh no, imposters. That sucks.
Everyone unmask yourself.
Oh shit. Nobody else took their masks off.
I'm gonna give you Lovebirds a choice. What's behind this door or bacon grease to the face?
I don't want grease on my face.
Is it gonna shit on me?
Oh, take the grease.
The Lovebirds is a 2020 American romantic comedy film directed by Michael Showalter from a screenplay by Aaron Abrams and Brendan Gall. Jabron and Leilani are a couple who have been together for 4 years. Their relationship is fraught and the two argue constantly about a variety of topics. While driving to a dinner party, a conversation about marriage leads to another argument, and the two mutually agree to end the relationship. Distracted by the breakup, Jabron runs a red light, hitting a cyclist with their car. The man refuses help and flees the scene. A man with a mustache suddenly commandeers their car, claiming that he is a police officer and that the man on the bike is a criminal. Mustache pursues the cyclist, but after catching him, runs the cyclist over with their car several times, killing him. Mustache prepares to kill Jabron and Leilani with a gun, but flees after hearing police sirens. Moments later, a couple passes by, seeing the murder scene and assuming that Jabron and Leilani were the killers. Assuming that the police will never believe the true story of what happened, the two flee on foot, taking the phone of the cyclist, who they dub Bicycle. While collecting their thoughts at a diner, the two argue over what to do next. Jabron wants to turn themselves in, while Leilani argues that their unbelievable story and racial profiling will ensure that they are blamed for the crime. Leilani receives a call from the police detective, but Jabron cuts their conversation short by dropping her phone in a milkshake. Jabron and Leilani see an appointment on Bicycle's phone, a meeting at a bar with a woman named Edie. Leilani reasons that Edie will know who Bicycle is, which will allow them to find out who the killer is and clear their names. The two meet Edie at the bar, only to find that it is a setup. The two are knocked out and tied up by Edie and her husband, Brett, who is accidentally revealed to be a congressman. Edie mistakenly believes that Jabron and Leilani work for Bicycle and alludes to blackmail being committed against Edie and Brett. As Edie prepares to splash Leilani with hot bacon grease, Leilani manages to kick the pan away, giving Jabron the opportunity to free her and escape. The two travel to an address taken from Edie, which they believe is Bicycle's home, only to find an apartment full of frat boys. They overpower and interrogate one of the boys, who admits he works for Bicycle as part of his blackmailing scheme. Before the two can learn more, Mustache arrives, killing all the boys in the apartment. Jabron and Leilani escape with one of the blackmail envelopes. The two open the envelope, which contains photos of the intended recipients attending what appears to be a meeting of a secret society. They travel to the dinner party they were originally supposed to attend, tricking Leilani's co-worker Keith into unlocking Bicycle's phone, which contains an address to a black tie event. Leilani and Jabron travel to the event, where all the attendees are wearing masks identical to those shown in the blackmail photos. The event is revealed to be a meeting of the secret society called Sacrarium. The meeting turns into an orgy, but is interrupted when the leader of the meeting discovers that there are imposters present. He tricks Jabron and Leilani to revealing themselves, but moments later an alarm sounds, leading all the attendees to evacuate. The source of the alarm is a police raid. Jabron and Leilani are taken into police custody. The two meet with Detective Martin, who reveals that Bicycle's pursuit and murder were caught on traffic cameras. The two were being sought as witnesses, not suspects. The police were aware of Sacrarium and planned to shut them down, but the group was somehow tipped off up to the plan. Jabron and Leilani are being driven home, but their driver is Mustache. He reveals that he truly is a police officer, but is also paid by Sacrarium to shield them from law enforcement. Mustache also ran the blackmailing scheme with Bicycle, who was killed due to a dispute over payment. Mustache restrains Jabron and Leilani and prepares to kill them, but the two use the car's cigarette lighter to melt their zip ties. The two attack Mustache, but end up with Leilani pointing Mustache's gun at him as he holds Jabron in a chokehold. The two implicitly communicate, allowing Jabron to duck out of the way as Leilani shoots Mustache. Mustache is taken into custody while Jabron and Leilani make amends and kiss. 1 year later, Jabron and Leilani are participants on The Amazing Race, only to find that one of their challenges involves horses, terrifying Jabron.
The Lovebirds. A movie about why you shouldn't trust cops.
that's kind of accurate.
What do you think about it, Dom?
So, I mean, I saw this trailer like a little while ago, and it looked pretty funny. And then, obviously, because of certain events that happened, and are still taking place, this movie got moved from theaters to Netflix. And I thought that was a pretty good idea because, I mean, if I saw this movie in theaters, I'd still be like, man, that was still a pretty good movie. But like, it's still kind of, to me, it feels more of like a Netflix movie. Anyways, not in like a bad quality, and like in that like, I'm glad it was released through like streaming, because it is a good movie, and I don't know. Do you think it would have done well in theaters? I think it would have done okay, right? Especially Memorial Day weekend, it might have done pretty okay. But honestly, though, I still think it was pretty funny. I mean, Kumail Nanjiani, he's hilarious, and so is this Ray. I think she's funny.
I wanted to see this when I first saw the trailer, and I thought it got released already. But then I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, wait,
yeah,
what?
It just got released.
Yeah, that's why I was like, shit, let's review this. And I'm happy because it's exactly what I wanted from it.
Yeah.
I've said this a million times where I think some people will watch a movie and they have to say that, oh, this is either the best movie experience I've ever had or the worst.
Yeah.
Sometimes when things are kind of in the middle, or, you know, maybe not necessarily one or the other, it doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, I'll admit that sometimes I've watched a comedy movie and laugh so hard. I'm like, that might be the best movie I've seen ever. But then there's other times where I'll watch a comedy movie and be like, yeah, I laughed a lot. It's funny, but it's all right. It's okay. And I think some people are afraid of that. And I think that, especially now, more so than ever, with a lot of like YouTuber reviews and podcasts, you know, they definitely have to have a hard stance on like, oh, this movie was like horrible. And I did hear that when, who was it? Is there some guy I used to buy records from? He's like, oh, I had to turn it off right away. And I remember thinking like, that's okay because he's had questionable things in the past. So like, whatever. But yeah, as soon as I watched it, I was like, what was wrong about it? Like, what I really like too is that the way that they make it seem in the trailers and leading up to it was like, oh, it's just kind of like a rom-com type of deal. But like right in the beginning, it's like, oh no, they're done.
Yeah. but to me, they feel more genuine as like a couple because it's like, yeah, like not everything's like perfect and like you go through and like like you said, like they break up before like the action starts. Like it's not like in typical rom-coms where it's like, oh, he did what and they did that. Oh, now we're broken and they have to do that whole thing where they're split apart and then they realize they love each other.
It's still follow tropes.
Yeah.
But an entertaining way.
Yeah.
Because right from the get-go, I mean, obviously you see them kind of like fall in love, but then it's like, oh, they like, yeah, they're over it. They're frustrated, all this stuff. But once they're put on pressure, it's like their personalities still come through. So them together, it's like, oh yeah, because they've been through like, you know, they've been through like this shit before. I mean, not necessarily this shit, but some shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you know, obviously like having those tropes of like the realization and stuff of like, what, she talks about me all the time? Oh, that's weird, crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I said, we've heard it a million times before. And I think that's why this movie plays out really good, is because it's not something crazy different. It's just something, I don't know, fun and entertaining.
Yeah.
And like, especially someone like Camille, who I think for a long time was just considered like a B character, someone who played off the, you know, whatever. But he's kind of built his own stardom, you know, for a few years now, where, I mean, look, he got fucking ripped and now he's going to be in a Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. You know, he did The Big Sick. He did this, like, and same thing with Issa Rae too. It's like, I think obviously probably, you know, for black women in general, but seeing someone like her who's more funny comedian, she probably wasn't seen like a leading lady.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to watch the other movie she had. It was like, I think it was like a romance movie, but I just thought it's funny because I was like, she's in this romance movie and then she's in this one, but this one's definitely not more romantic.
Yeah.
But like, she was my Google voice for a while.
Really?
Yeah. Like I've always had love for her, and seeing like her and him be the head of this movie, it's, I don't know, it's something cool. It's something that you wouldn't think of you seeing few years ago even.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think like both main characters are people of color, and they're both not the same like type of person of color either. Which, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like a few years ago, that would have been like, oh, like this is ridiculous. How are they going to pull this off? Like, remember back when, like that Sony thing happened with their emails got hacked, how they had like no faith in the Equalizer because Denzel Washington can't lead an action movie because he's black.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fucking racist.
And I hate bringing it up, but like through the whole movie, I never thought about it until I knew we were going to talk about it. And I was like, you know what? That is really cool.
Yeah.
The fact that we could get a movie like this and it's not typical, oh, yeah, you fell in love with the white girl, or, you know, she fell in love with the white guy or whatever.
Yeah. It's
like, oh, no, it's two people of color, two comedians, too, who are heading this, like, rom-com. and doing it well.
And that's what I like too, is because you don't get representation like that ever, because like people don't like when I
In
say
America.
Americans don't think that way. They don't think like, oh, you like two people of color who are different ethnicities can also get married. And it's like, yeah, because that happens all the time.
And most media will tell you, no, you have to marry a white person.
Yeah, that's where see.
This honestly, it's a good movie.
Mm.
It's funny. It's entertaining. It's not anything you haven't seen before, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's not a waste of time. Movies that are just fun to watch are not a waste of time.
Yeah, what's good about this movie is there's no like you know how some most romantic comedies kind of have like a little like lull where they have to be like sad and broken up. This movie is just, it's like as soon as the action starts, like it's mostly like action. There's no real stopping to do anything until I think when they get arrested is when like they kind of like, hey, you guys aren't the suspects. You guys are witnesses. We saw on the traffic cams that are everywhere.
And that was funny too.
That was pretty funny.
That was the curve, because you think like they're gonna be like, so why are you guys running from us?
Yeah.
The whole time they're just like, oh, we were worried about you because, we needed to get your statement and you can't find you.
She's like, when they call him, like, do you know where your car is? Yeah, it's outside. Like, I'm at home. Oh my God, honey, the car's gone. And then the waitress comes up.
If you're into comedies,
yeah,
this has it.
Yeah,
it definitely has it.
This isn't gonna be a Phantom Thread type of comedy.
I put it in the same realm of like stuff we got in the past couple years of like a Tag or a Blockers, or any of that stuff where they're good movies. They may not be the best comedy I've ever seen in my entire life, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah,
I've seen Blockers like 4 times, and I tell people like, yeah, it's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, there's been comedies that I watch more than like some other movies, and I'm still like, it was pretty good, but like I still watch it a lot because it's like, it's a good movie to kind of like. This isn't a movie just to throw, like it actually it is. It's a good movie to kind of put on, and like maybe if you have like people over, like you guys can all just watch and be like, ha 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 ha. See, like, remember how cops are racist?
Yeah, every day now. Every day in the news. So yeah, if you're in any of that stuff, definitely watch it. Backed hard.
Oh yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see how well this does, if it gets any traction, and wonder what other movies might jump into, Netflix or Amazon Primes or whatever. But yeah, good movie. Backed hard. Watch it. Mm-hmm. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Brand
watch
new.
it right now.
Watch it.
This week's segment is something that I was not dreading having to talk about if it ever happened, but now that it's happened, we have to talk about directors and producers cuts, because obviously with the bombshell news that next year we'll get Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, and it's going to be, I hear, the darkest and grittiest version of that film that we should have got, and it would have exploded Marvel, and Endgame was going to look like shit compared to this, because Darkseid's going to be in it, Green Lantern's going to be in it, Martian Manhunter is going to be in it.
I heard Batman says shit like twice.
Other characters are going to be in it. And so this means that they're going to make a Justice League 2 with everyone coming back. But I mean, we've seen this before in the past, right? With like Blade Runner having how many director's cuts are of those, right? And producers cuts. We've seen it with Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers has a producer's cut and a theatrical cut. Neither are good, but at least the producer's cut like explains things. And then there's like the mother of them all, Star Wars, the originals, the original trilogy. We got a director's cut. And and I love how George Lucas never calls it a director's cut. He's just like, no, guys, this is the real version of Star Wars, how I actually wanted it to be.
But wasn't there a real version? They had to go and like cut it up because it didn't make any sense.
Yes, when I originally came up with this idea, everyone hated it, and to the point where I'm not even the screenwriter on those ones. Like we brought people in to write the scripts because they heard my pitch for the movies and they were like, "This makes no sense, George." And I was like, "But doesn't it?" And then they were like, "No, like this dialogue is clunky and odd and doesn't make any sense." But now we're getting like people coming out of the woodwork. They're like, I want the Josh Trank version or his cut of Fantastic Four because it would have been better. I want the Edgar Wright version of Ant-Man because they still you don't know how many people I read articles of like other things that still talk about that. And it's like he never even got to like shoot anything. Like, so I don't even understand why you still bring it up.
Yeah,
like,
well, they should reshoot it.
God, like it makes me. It's one of those things where it's like it makes me like hate him. When it's like I shouldn't be hating this person because it's not really their fault. It's like their fans' fault for making me hate them. But then, like David Ayers said that he would love because it'd be cathartic for him to have his cut of Suicide Squad because he wanted something different.
It would be funny though to see some of these like these alternative cuts that people ask for, and it's like, this is what you wanted?
Yeah, because
this is what you wanted.
Well, see, and the thing is, like with the Snyder Cut, okay, they're spending an extra $30 million to
finish
it, but also because it's making it longer. It's going to be like a limited series or whatever because it's going to be so long that they got to break it up into like parts. But to me, it's like you're not it's not like it's you're releasing it theatrically, so you're not getting that money back. You're just spending extra money on a flop.
I think they probably see it as like, well, this is $30 million for more content as opposed to spending $50 million on a new show.
That's true.
And it's stuff that people are gonna. I mean, like
yeah,
you said,
all those stupid nerds.
Yeah, look how many people are like, oh, like I didn't even. Oh fuck, I forgot I was supposed to download it today.
I know I got to download it. Too.
But you know how many people are gonna be super stoked and get into it and be like, yeah, this is the definitive cut. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on both sides.
No, I would. Yeah, I understand. Like I would love to see this version, right? Because I mean, I don't hate DC. I don't hate these characters. I've always said, Batman's one of my favorite superheroes.
I think the silver lining in this is that if this becomes a thing for the next 3 years, 4 years, hopefully that this would shut off that whole thing of like, of oh, let's bring this back or let's redo this, because then people are gonna get these director's cuts and they're gonna be like, oh. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they definitely showed us that scene.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like, oh, you mean it doesn't matter because they cut the film to make it the best they could?
It's like underwhelming. That would see to me like that's the part that I'm dreading is like being kind of disappointed with like.
But I think that's like I said, I think that's a good thing because as much as like I get it, right? When there's something out there. And you know that this could be amazing, and you get something that really isn't. In your head, you're like, they could have made it better. One thing I mean, we talked about, like, really wanting to see is the original cut of, is it Blair Witch 2, right? That's
yes, yeah.
The original cut. I would love to see that because when I hear them talk about it, it's like, oh, this sounds like actually a really cool movie.
Yeah, because
but then you watch it
because Harvey rapist Weinstein was like, No, we gotta appeal to 14-year-olds because they're the juiciest. Not the boys, but the girls. Yeah. I mean, we're not screening for any girls. I just have a bunch of juicy ones in there. But yeah, they're our target.
So, I mean, yeah, I get it, right? I would love to see it, especially when you have the original and it's like, that movie fucking sucks. But you know deep down inside that there's a good movie.
And that's what makes it so... But see, that makes it interesting because know that there's a...
That's what I'm saying. Now that fans are getting it,
maybe
it could turn on them because once you get a movie and they're like, oh yeah, let's get the original cut of Suicide Squad. And then it's like, oh, this was actually way stupider than the one we got. And it's like, yeah, because sometimes things just don't work out. Like the original cut of Star Wars. They thought it was bad. They were like, fuck, we got to fix this.
Yeah, the original, because it was supposed to come out in Christmas of 76, I think. And then they had to push it back to May of 77 because his original editor or him... honestly, I bet it was him. He's probably, but it was like long, over bloated. Like there were scenes that had nothing to do with anything. There's like lines of dialogue that didn't make sense. And so then like he had someone come in and she's like, just get out. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. It's fine. And then she gave us Star Wars, which is what all the fans constantly claim is their favorite one. Like the original before the special, like that's their favorite. And it's like, George Lucas was the director and he came up with the story and that's it. He had no involvement with like anything else. And then when he does, he gives you the prequels and you guys hated it for so long. Now you guys love it, I guess.
But that exactly, right? Mm-hmm. Like imagine a world where that original cut came out and everyone's like, this fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Literally our whole lives would have been different.
Yeah.
But editing came to save it. What we got was entertaining. So it's like, where do you draw the line? You know, these movies, I get it. I honestly get it when it's like, but I want this in there. Oh, they should have this in there. How come they don't show this? I want to do that. It's like, yeah, I get it. But sometimes the movie's better off without it. Oh, they showed this character in the original cut and they cut it out. It's like, okay, but doesn't it make it better? Because you're like, oh, yeah, now I know that this person's in there. So that means we're going to have to see them sooner or later. Like, it can make the experience so much better sometimes.
And one thing that people constantly complain about, it's like, well, this character didn't get enough screen time. It's like, yeah, but if we showed them more, the movie would be longer, and you guys hate that.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like it is. I just feel like it's a way for people to complain about something that they know they wanted, get what they want, and if they're unsatisfied, they could be like, well, it's because they took too long, and did you hear Ben Affleck couldn't refilm this part, so that ruined the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, see, I have a theory. It's that what we do is more of I call it in my head optimistic critical analysis, where instead of going into a movie being like negative, we're automatically like, we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I feel like these other people online, what the model they use is critical analysis. So they're automatically going in, trying to pick out what they need to criticize going in so it's like, instead of like just like watching the movie at first and just sitting there and being like, let's enjoy this at first, they decide, well, I need to sit here with a notepad already ready to criticize this. And it's like, but then you're having a worse experience because like that's not how you watch a movie.
As much as I would love to get certain cuts of movies, I'm willing to take the bullet and say, yeah, but the certain movies that I did get that were cut exactly that way that I love, I wouldn't want to change.
Yeah.
Even if I could, I think I'd have to leave it that way, because why would you ruin something that you really love so much? As opposed to, well, this thing I didn't like as much, so like I gotta have all the original stuff back in there. And yeah, maybe it could make it better. Who knows? Maybe this Snyder Cut is like, oh shit, you know what? Yeah, fuck. They really fucked up by not doing this. Maybe. We don't know. But I think that having that view of like, well, we could just go and fix it is kind of hurting in a way, because there's people's jobs to go in and do this stuff. And there's so much to this. I don't want to get into it because it also has to do with what the studio wants, what the director wants. You know, like, oh, well, we have to have this in there. Well, how can we put this? Oh, we can't show this. How we do this? And that's a lot. But for the idea of going back and doing director's cuts or whatever, yeah, I do like. But we've been getting those forever. I don't know. I feel like we were fine with what we had before, where you can get a DVD or you can own the extended version.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But now that they're giving us the Snyder Cut where, oh, they're going to change everything back and we're going to reshoot some things and blah, blah, blah.
They're going to finish all the special effects that they didn't get to finish.
I think that part might turn toxic.
I think so too.
But I don't know. Honestly, we really have to see. It's interesting because it's something that I think fans wanted for so long. Then now that they're getting it, it's almost weird because I think they thought that there was an original cut, like full-fledged movie.
I think so too.
And they're like, oh, wait, so it wasn't done? It's like, yeah, how can he finish a movie that he didn't finish?
I think it's also because people don't understand how movies work. Like, they just assume, like, oh, well, the director does everything, right? It's like, no, not at all. It's not just Zack Snyder sitting there with all the footage. Like an indie, like an indie like production would be, where like if it was us, we'd have to sit there as like if we were the directors and edit it. But like he doesn't. That's not how it is.
I mean, some directors are more hands-on.
Yeah.
But it's not everyone, and it's not always 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think either way, like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And if it does well enough, or if it gets at least even enough steam, then it'd be interesting to see who else is going to try to get their original cut, and if that's both good or bad.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, this could be a silver lining in the whole thing, where this turns out really good, another one turns out really good, and then they say, oh, maybe we should give directors more input, and they have their movie made no matter what.
And maybe the producers could step back instead of trying to be involved so much.
So maybe this is just another stepping stone of like, hey, maybe the studios don't always know what's good.
Yeah.
And they're paying the directors to do this movie in the first place. Mm-hmm. Let them do what they have to do.
Yeah. Like a Quentin Tarantino who all he wants to do is make Feet the movie.
But really, it comes with time, right? We have probably over a year before we get something out of this whole Snyder Cut thing. So we're gonna not do the podcast for a year. Come back, and then see what changed. Or I don't know, maybe we'll keep going. But either way, it'd be interesting to see what happens and what comes after. Yeah. So yeah, I guess until then, guys, we'll just say thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
If you want to go ahead and follow us on your favorite streaming services, please do so. We also have a YouTube. You could find the link in the description of the show. If you want to follow us on our social media accounts, that's Instagram and Twitter at INTB_podcast. Or you can email us directly at intbpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, shoot us a DM, email us, tag us, whatever, and let us know, how do you feel about director's cuts? How do you feel about this new Snyder Cut?
Yeah. Did you see the Lovebirds? Or how do you feel about what's his name? John Krasinski?
Yeah.
Selling out? Or maybe you don't see it as
selling out. I mean, he's been selling out, Dom.
Yeah, you know what?
I think this was the first time he was like, oh my God, I could finally really sell out. Cha-ching. Yeah, or if there's anything you want us, talk about, like I said, tag us, post on our shit, directly email us, DM us, whatever. But until then, guys, as always, remember,
it's not that bad.
It's not that